How you doing?
Are you guys LA based? All of you?
Some of us. LA, New York, Milwaukee. We're from Chicago.
Wow.
So then when you go on tour, you just all kind of fly in from wherever?
We consider like Chicago and obviously Milwaukee like home base still.
Is that where the band was born out of?
Yeah.
Originally? So sound check and then some rehearsals?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you so much. Well, I think one of my favorite things about Fall Out Boy are the melodies.
That is this young man over here.
And even in the making of Pioneer, like, we listened to so much of your old music, and also we're big fans of My Chemical Romance, Got to Write with Gerard Some. And
oh, that's cool.
yeah,
that's cool.
So, I mean, we love what you guys all have going on. And for me, it begins and ends with the melody. Kudos to you.
Oh, thank you.
So when does Fall Out Boy record a country song?
I don't know. We'll see.
Tonight, maybe. Possibly tonight. What is this?
It's a number system that we use here in Nashville.
This is the Nashville one, okay, right? That's cool.
Yeah, so
it makes no sense to me, but it looks awesome.
And then together we can do Tell the Grave Digger That He Better Dig Too.
Awesome.
Gonna tell the grave digger that he better dig too.
Where are you guys? Are you guys from Mississippi originally?
Yeah, we were born in Jackson, but we most of our life was spent in Mobile, Alabama.
Oh,
so
really?
That's where music got started for us. So we call that the original home.
Talking about, sophomore slump or comeback of the year, that idea, I feel like we've never not had that experience where every album we've done, even our first real record, a demo that, can you make something as good as the demo? So we had to outlive that. Then that record ended up being kind of an indie hit, which was, huge for us. And then we had the big major label record. Can you follow that up? So, and then we went away for 5 years. I feel like we've never made a record where we haven't had the sophomore slump, dangling over our heads. So.
Well, and I think it's, maybe that's just a testament. I feel, we're only on our second record, but I feel like we always have, like, the next place that we're trying to achieve. And for us, we ended up leading the sophomore era for us with Better Dig Too, which, especially on country radio, there's a line, won't be whiskey, won't be meth. And
I love that line, by
I
the
do
way.
too.
I think it's awesome.
We have always won when we went for the punch in the gut, if you will. My question is, if there's ever like a flat-out band stalemate, which definitely happens, I'm talking like for us, it would be like each of us having an opinion. I mean, our parents, we're grown-ups, but kind of not. Like, we kind of have Peter Pan syndrome. Yeah. Our parents, seriously, over the years have been like the fourth and fifth invisible members because they always saw their role as like facilitating what we did.
Right. Dad was the first roadie, soundman. Mom drove.
We would have nowhere to
16
play.
kids in a motorhome.
And he would just set up our gear. So sometimes we have to bring in like the heavy hand and be like, we cannot agree. What do you guys think? Do you have like that person?
We go on hiatus when we can't all agree. Later, guys. I don't know.
This is a very legitimate problem. I think early on in the band, especially Pete and I kind of took a dual leadership role, depending on what we were doing. And a lot of times we disagree very strongly, more strongly than everybody else in the band.
Sure.
But Patrick and I are like oil and water or whatever, the oil and sand, vinegar and whatever. We are the two things.
I flunked science.
We are the two things that do not mix well together. We would not make a good salad, or maybe we would make a good salad, I'm not sure. But I think somehow in the middle, like when we meet in the middle of that, like it's some kind of creative tension or something like that. That's where our moments that have resonated the most with other people have come from, like that.
Yeah, it's actually a good point too, and I think as much as I don't want to admit this because I would love for it to be like this awesome, smooth sailing thing, but pretty much all of our biggest wins as a band have been when we've been like furious at each other.
Yeah.
So hopefully me and Patrick in a big fight tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Hey, just so you know, that'd be really great for this thing.
This is such a great song.
Thank you.
I heard it for the first time at a baseball field, and I was like,
yeah, it's a big baseball song. It's crazy.
So I don't know.
one of the things that was important about this comeback for us, because we'd taken like 4 years off. It needed to be like a single that would be on the radio and stuff, but it needed to be bigger than that. It needed to like say like, hey, we're Fall Out Boy, and we are like really back.
My songs know what you did in the dark.
All of us were still like, I don't know if this is going to work, if we're going to do this or not. That was the first song that we were all kind of testing it all out. That was testing the waters, and we were all like, okay, I think this will work.
Yeah.
Well, but I also think a lot of that's because pop radio has changed so much. And the cool thing about what you guys have going on is I feel like you have this liberty right now to maintain your rock and roll roots. I mean, save rock and roll, right? Like, that's got to be a cool thing for you guys, because I don't hear a lot of rock and roll on pop radio anymore.
The president of pop radio called us up and he was like, what we need an 80s hair metal screaming I'm on fire in the next song on pop radio.
That's what we did.
So we were like, honestly, literally,
Far be it for me not to take orders.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions about some lyrics.
I don't know.
First of all, I'm really excited to sing about friction in the jeans. I'm really thrilled to get this. But we'll talk later.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the ones. I had a little list started.
Yeah, it's all weird.
No.
Writing about what you know is some of the most powerful stuff, I think.
That's so true, and I do feel like you have to write what you know. I think that's when, the listeners and the crowds, they get the most out of the song.
It's really easy to write a pretty lyric or something that rhymes, but it's really hard to actually write something that you truly believe, which for us, it was almost an exercise on Pioneer to write everything that we believe 100%, not that just sounds right.
Is your tattoo new, this guy?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Love it.
Yeah, it's a long story.
Is it new as in yesterday?
Yeah, well, like it was black and white. This and this were black and white forever, and then like just really recently I was like, let's put some color into it.
Right.
You guys got tattoos, no tattoos?
No.
Kind of wish I had none sometimes, I'll be honest.
I'm a rebel, what can I say?
It was a blessing and a curse having If I Die Young on the first album, a song that meant so much to so many people. But then, we also had the fear, will we ever have a song like that again that impacts people that way?
If I Die Young came from a place of basically being alone, in my bedroom and daydreaming. Like, who has time to daydream anymore?
We get into a town at 9 a.m., exercise. We write from, 12 to 3, get ready for the show, play the show, go to bed, get to the next show the next morning.
Like that. So
and
like,
every day is the same.
Yeah, I think that's something we've been saying a lot about the hiatus that we took, is that, again, you kind of get successful accidentally. It's like getting struck by lightning, and you were probably writing about living your day-to-day life, and then fate takes you out of the day-to-day life, and you're expected to write about it again somehow. And it's like, how do you? I mean, I haven't folded laundry in like 10 years. How can I relate to humanity?
I have this uncle, and we were so excited that our band was going so well, and I was like, we did it, we made it, we're on TV. He's like, you're not on my TV, and I was like. It's awesome, and he literally only watches CMT, or whatever. And so I wanted to say thank you to Band Perry and to CMT, because this is the only way my uncle, who I will not name, will ever think that we made it as a band. So thank you guys very much for having us here. I made it! I was always fascinated by country music and the lyrics, the way the imagery was used. This song that we're gonna play in some ways was inspired by that kind of imagery, and people say all the time, like, why does it say he tastes like you, only sweeter? And it's actually there's this movie, and this woman is being unfaithful to the man that she's with. To me, it reminded me in some ways of just like the most kind of heartbreaking moment that it could be, and it reminded me of like hearing country in the back of my dad's car and stuff like that. So in some ways that it's already influenced our band.